Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Made in New England interview series, where we talk with New England-based companies and the people who lead them. I'm your host, Steve DeVries, and today I'm joined by Mark Condon, the co-founder of iPuppee, based in Framingham, Mass. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Steve. I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited to be a part of this.
Well, we're happy to have you here. So, for the benefit of everybody listening and watching, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what iPuppee does?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. We're based out of Framingham, Mass. iPuppee is a dog training smart button. So essentially the way it works is your dog presses the button when they have a need. Say the most common reason would probably be to go to the bathroom for the average pet owner. And when the dog presses the button, it's connected to your Wi-Fi and you get a text message sent to your phone. You open up the text message and it takes you right to the camera that's in front of the unit. So it looks like you're getting a video call from your dog. It's pretty cool. And it has a two-way speaker. So you can open up the iPuppee app on your phone and you can either listen in or talk to your dog or just check in on your dog at 24/7 whenever you want.
Very cool. And so,
Yeah.
how long have you been in business?
The process started 2.5 years ago. We just got inventory, call it 2 months ago. So it was a very long process from the first couple of sketches to, I think, 3 prototypes to the final product to getting it shipped here from China, and that whole thing. So 2.5 years.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
take us through from the point of when you had the idea to when you made your first prototype, and maybe take us up to this point, because it's really exciting. It's
Yeah.
basically a brand new business, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that would love to hear all about that.
Yeah, brand new business. So the idea came. So I worked with a company, ironically enough, who also lives in Framingham, based out of Framingham, who I'd never heard of. I'll give them a shout out. 52 Launch. They're essentially a third party I hired to help me with the engineering of the product and the relationships with the manufacturers and the developers overseas. Without them, I could not have gotten to the product to this point today. So, but as you see behind me, my coach. I'm a financial planner by day, and my boy Champ, who's a chocolate lab, would always be just hanging out on the couch behind me in the back of my Zoom meetings. He was like a staple. Everybody loved him. Long story short, he got old, and his back legs became too weak to join me down here in the office in the basement. So I had to leave him upstairs on another floor. Now, I had Champ since he was 10 weeks old. He was 14 when he passed. So he was my boy. And I didn't always know when he had to go to the bathroom anymore. Just he was on another floor of the house. I'm in meetings all day long. So I just wanted something that could do 2 things. One, a camera, so I could watch him. And there's plenty of cameras out there. But what I was surprised about is there was nothing out there where he could press a button and I get notified on my phone. It's the 21st century. That's just kind of how everything is these days. And I was shocked that there was nothing out there like it. So I worked with 52 Launch on the creation of iPuppee. And, we had a bunch of sketches. They have a bunch of in-house engineers that they helped me with. Great guys. Mike is fantastic. And Luke. But yeah, so they helped us with the sketches, and then first 3D print that we got, just a non-functional block basically. But it was just, it was pretty cool to see the first concept come to reality. And then we just had a couple, rips off of that, a couple variations off of that. So we ended up getting to the final product pretty much a little over 2 years later. And then they had to get inspected in China and then get shipped over. And then once they got shipped over, they got held up in customs for 6 weeks here in Boston. So that was exciting. And then shortly after they finally got released, they had the strike with the customs. I just missed that by 3 days, fortunately. But it only lasted a few days anyways. But that was the process from, idea to sketches to concept to reality. In total, about 2.5 years, and Champ had passed 3 or 4 months into the process. So I never even got a chance to have him, check it out. But that's why the logo is a chocolate lab. It's just, my way to keep Champ just kind of around,
I love that.
Yeah.
So you go to 52 Launch. Did you shop around for a partner, or did it just feel right from the very beginning?
Yeah. I used to, it felt right from the beginning. I used to also run a podcast, and I had them on here. And I had never even heard of them. I had a friends of mine who used them, and they highly recommended 52. And I've always just thought it'd be cool to bring a product to life. And they're less than 2 miles down the street from my house. Really nice guys. Peter and Dan are the owners. And it was just a good match. So we just took it from there. And it's nice to have such a good relationship with somebody so close, So
Yeah, absolutely. And you've never done anything like this before, right? You're a certified financial planner by day. So, I mean, this was a big leap of faith for you.
yeah, we had a 5-month-old when the process started. By the time we got inventory, she was 3, and her sister was 1. So throughout the whole process, we, it was, yeah,
a lot of changes in the family. While this thing was all happening.
Yeah, full-time job, trying to figure out the logistics of just getting something off the ground, and then, basically 2 brand new children along the way, and here we are. But it keeps things exciting. I don't get a lot of sleep, but it keeps things exciting for sure.
Life of a young parent, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got this new business, and you've got your first shipment of product in. So as you think about year 1, right? As you're selling, what does success look like? Have you been able to put your arms around, what that might be?
It's difficult to try to quantify right now. We had 50 or 60 pre-orders, so that was exciting. Once I was able to finally ship them out and get pictures and text messages from people when they got them was really cool. I think what's been really cool is having dog trainers reach out to me, and then I guess one way to kind of answer this is, I think, so this was created as like a potty training device, right? Like, and again, I'm not a dog trainer. I'm not an engineer. I just kind of like stumbled across like a cool product to bring to retail. But what I think is going to have like a really successful and a big impact with iPuppee is the service dog space. So when a dog presses the button, you can set it up so up to 3 people receive the notification. So like the initial thought process was, if I'm not home, I can set it up so my neighbor or dog walker receives the notification. And I got to live in a big like community. People in apartment complexes have dog walkers all the time. They can come by and let the dog out for you. But that feature alone, now, if you think about it from a service dog perspective, that owner at home alone with the disability and they have an emergency and they're home alone with their dog. A woman in Weston, Mass, like someone, she's prone to seizures and the dog's trained to act a certain way. But what if she's home alone with the dog? It's irrelevant what the dog's doing. So now she has an iPuppee. Her dog will press the iPuppee if something happens, and her husband is the emergency contact. He's going to receive the notification that something just happened to his wife. So now he can open up the iPuppee app, and then he can, if she's in the room, he can see her and talk to her. And if he can't get a response, he can either, if he's close enough, he can fly home to make sure she's okay, or call the appropriate authorities for them to come by and check in on her. So that was just, somebody had reached out to me in that space about it, and I was just like, wow, like, it's like Champ's memory will live on because it was created because of Champ. And now I think this is really going to take off to like the service dog space. And if this is like a life alert, emergency alert type of product for that space, I mean, you talk about like a successful impact, just the peace of mind you can bring people in that space that I didn't even know was a thing. So we got a couple service dog expos that we'll go in, trade shows that we're going to in 2025 that I'm excited to be a part of, just kind of learn more, because I'm not in that space either. I know nothing about service dogs or what it takes and all that. So I don't know if that was a roundabout way to answer your question. I can't really put like metrics up. I think just getting it in the hands of people and having people, getting the feedback from the people and having people use it, that'll be the first measure of success. Obviously, the more the better, right? But that'll be the first measure of success.
Well, so you sort of answered my next question. I think I was going to ask what excites you most about the future of iPuppee, but clearly you've got a high level of excitement and even some traction on working with service dogs and providing an enhanced solution for a service dog home, which I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and again, like I'm not in that space, and I hadn't thought of it, and I think. Everyone tells you that you got to really niche down. And I think I'm just really going to niche down in the service dog space, just because of the impact it'll have. And those dogs, candidly, the average dog owner, they think it's cool, but they're probably not going to take as much time to train their dog to do this, because at the end of the day, it's up to the person, right? The dog can learn it, but it's up to the person. In that space, there's just so much less friction. as well, because those dogs are trained to do so much so quickly. Like I have a few service dog organizations that have a unit right now that are testing out with their dogs, and they've said it's been great. I have a celebrity dog trainer that's got it with one of her dogs too. She works with a lot of service dogs, and she said he picked it up like no problem. So I'm really excited about that space. I'm not like anybody can purchase one, and it's a great tool for everything we've talked about. But I just think my most excitement is probably for that service dog space, just because of the impact it can have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so I know you're a young business,
Yeah.
and you're just, you're getting your product out there, and you're determining the best markets for it. But I'm going to ask a question anyway. If I were able to hand you a magic wand and you could wave that over your business or your industry and make one thing happen, what would that be today?
I think it's iPuppee is the go-to product for the service dog space, like hands down. Like there, like I want to, like that is the product everyone needs when they are training their dog to be a service dog. It can be used for a multitude of things. So, because what I'm learning is those dogs are trained to detect when somebody has a low blood sugar. Like they can smell it, like blows my mind. So they can press the button or alert somebody before it even happens. The seizure thing. A woman in, I think it's New Jersey. She had a leg amputated and she's in a wheelchair. I think waving the magic wand is just being the go-to product in the service dog space, as there's nothing that does what the iPuppee does, and there's nothing else out there. I just got to market it. So like I got to get it in front of those people. So constantly reaching out to be in that space and getting in front of them. But I think that is waving the magic wand. That is what I envision for 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got to ask another question that came to mind. So you're using contract manufacturers, right, overseas. Did 52 Launch help you not just select them, but manage that supply chain? Or once the design and the prototype and all that is done, you're kind of on your own?
No, they've been great. So they help manage their relationship as well with the shipping. So they're like, I use them exclusively to help me with the manufacturer over in China and the shipping and getting everything over, and just delivering essentially everything to my doorstep or our fulfillment center, which is in Chelsea, Mass. They've helped manage that whole thing. Now the product's here. So I don't talk to them nearly like almost ever at this point, because now I just get, I'll talk to them again when I get close to selling through the first batch of inventory. But right now they help facilitate and get the product to our doorstep, which has been great.
That's exciting. So, I mean, how many times have we been sitting around with friends and family, and someone thinks they have this great idea, and probably just fizzles off into the conversation.
Yeah.
Because finding that starting point has got to be, a big challenge. And for you already knew these folks at 52 Launch, having interviewed them. So at least you had an idea, but
Right.
this really opens the door. Having that kind of service available with a really great idea opens the door for so many people who aren't necessarily product developers by trade, right? But do have that great idea.
Right.
So what kind of advice would you give to folks like that? They come up with the next great iPuppee type idea, right? What's the first step?
I'd say the first step, write it down, visualize, like, do you actually think this? There was a few products that we were going back and forth on, and visualize, like, is this an amazing product? And there was nothing else out there like it on the market. You just got to start. Like, I'm not an engineer. I have no experience in dog training, like nothing. But I think you have to start. Otherwise you never, you feel like you take one step ahead and 3 steps backwards constantly. And now it got so exciting that the pieces line up for you. And you say, okay, well, to get this, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And then, okay, so you do that. And then you get to part B. It's like, okay, now I got to do like Q, R, and S to like get to this point. And you just figure it out along the way. You're never going to know everything. I'm very OCD. I like to have everything lined up in advance, and you're just not going to. You just kind of have to accept that that's not going to be what happens. I think so many people have a lot of ideas and they just don't actually start. Just start. Just figure it out. I think find out who the very first person is that you need to talk to. Like in this space, you need an engineer. I'm not an engineer. And then after we got that, then I reached out to dog trainers, and I had a dog trainer help facilitate the training guide and the video manual, like showing you how to get a dog to do it. But I think so many people dream big and they just don't actually take the step. I think you just got to take the step. You'll figure it out along the way. You'll stumble into it, and then you stumble into a space that it wasn't even initially designed for, which could create like a huge impact. I think, I just keep going back. Like, just take the first step. Like there's so many questions that you're going to need, and so many people will doubt you along the way. But if you take that first step, you'll figure it out, and it's just one brick at a time until you get that final brick up there where you can actually start moving forward with everything. I don't know how great of advice that is, but
no. So you know what? I think it's great advice, because I led the question in with how many people are sitting around with friends and family coming up with all these cool ideas, but never actually capture it or take that first step. And probably because they think more about all the hurdles in place than all of the possibilities.
Right.
And I think that you looked past the hurdles, right? And you got over those hurdles. But, other guests I've had on here always talk about leveraging expertise, right? That's been a common theme when I ask people, how do you become successful? Well, it's listening to the advice of others and understanding what you don't know and just listening. And I think that there's something that comes before that, and you just nailed it. It's take that first step. Nothing else happens until you do that. So for all of those, the aspiring developers out there that have this cool idea and don't know what to do, keep it simple. Take that first step. It's good stuff.
Yeah, because like you're gonna have, if you're doing it yourself, you're gonna have to wear all the hats, and you don't know anything. Like you might know a couple things. Like I'm good on the finance side and trying to figure all that out because that's my background, but I know nothing else. So leverage the relationships, find the people that can help you. And then the other thing I'll say is, like, if it scares you and excites you at the same time, I think you should go for it. Right. Because like how many things that's scary that like truly excites you that you just don't, because you let the fear like take over. Let the excitement take over. Like you can always go back to a W-2 job. They're never going to go away. You'll always have something. And there's so many people that'll be around you that will say, this won't work because of X. Well, screw them. Like what, like what do they know? Like, are they working a 9 to 5 complaining about their job? Because if they are, that wouldn't be who I would take advice from if you're trying to go for something big, So I don't know. I've gone a very unconventional past in the past 20 years. And I think you just have to go for it when you feel that it's right.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So last question. So the name of the show is Made in New England. So I always like to ask people, if you had to think about your business being here in New England, what are the pros or cons associated with being a Massachusetts-based business or a New England-based business?
I just think in Massachusetts in particular, you have everything around you. Everything you could possibly need is around you. You have some of the smartest people. Like it's not in the medicine field, but you have some of the smartest doctors, the best hospitals in New England in that space. I just found a great company that just happens to be near me. It made things a lot easier too. If they were on the West Coast, I don't know. I just think being in New England, I think you have everything at your fingertips. I think we have everything here that you could possibly need. I don't think there's something we don't, outside of warm weather for 4 months out of the year. Maybe we're in that stretch right now, but outside of that, I think we have everything we need here in New England to make things work. So I've flirted with the idea of moving. That's my wife. I flirted with the idea of moving quite often, and I just don't think you can beat everything you have here in New England and Massachusetts in particular.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, so we've been speaking with the founder of iPuppee, Mark Condon, today. Mark, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Steve. I really appreciate you having me on. This has been a blast. I love, I just love chatting about iPuppee and talking to other people and getting people in the business area in Massachusetts and New England I just love that space. So I appreciate you coming me on.
Absolutely. So before we go, tell everybody, if they're curious about iPuppee, where can they find it? Where can they get more information?
Yeah, iPuppee.com. It's IPUPPEE, two P's, two E's, iPuppee.com. Every social media handle is at iPuppee. If you want to reach out to me directly, feel free to shoot me an email. It's Mark at iPuppee. And it's just me. So I'll be the one that responds directly to you. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for joining us. I appreciate it. And thanks to everybody out there for watching. And we'll have another episode coming up very soon. Have a great day, everybody.